How we doing, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of FSI's NASCAR DFS Pick Show. I'm your host, TK Nation 47, joined with Mega Roar 31. Mega, good morning and welcome to Darlington Raceway. We have the playoffs taking place, and yesterday was a very fun race for the Xfinity race. Tell us what we learned and tell us what we expect today.
We learned to check the weather forecast.
Yep.
So, today it looks like it's going to be 88 degrees, humid, 69 at night, but there's still a 15% chance of rain or thunderstorms throughout the day. So hopefully they get the race in without interruptions, but we'll see. We know this is a tire wear track.
Mhm.
They haven't had one in a while. Atlanta's not that anymore. Fontana is. They've run some tracks that I think Richmond is to a degree. So I think that's going to come into consideration here. This is
Sure.
going to be like different than the Xfinity race just because the cars are set up differently. And like I said, the tires have gotten better, but they still concern me.
Yeah.
And you have the playoffs, which means that some of these drivers, like I'm just going to take Truex for an example,
Mhm.
like normally really good here. But what we see in the playoffs is if you've got a three-person team, they usually take the cream of the crop and put them on the two that are in the playoffs, and then the third guy who's not in the playoffs gets the leftovers. So we'll just have to kind of watch for some things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Yeah, I think what we can expect today is some chalk in some certain spots here on the board, and it's going to be pretty hard to find value unless you expect value at the front to do well. So it's going to be an interesting shakeup. I love Darlington. I think this is like one of the best tracks in racing. It's a really fun race to watch. The Xfinity race had a wild ending. I don't know if anyone saw that, but kudos to Gregson. That was pretty cool. Um, should expect him to be in a cup ride here pretty shortly. Whether you like him or not, he's a really good driver. Um, but yeah, Mega, let's get into it. You want to start out on the poll? Joey
Yeah, we
Logano,
might.
winner of the poll and winner of the race in the spring, wins the poll in the fall. Does he win the race?
I don't know. And as you can see, like if you've like hopped through some other sites and stuff and looked at their like predictions and their cores and stuff, you're gonna be like, why are there no core plays up here or prime plays up here for us? I designated the prime plays as like some of the top value guys to make your lineup work because there is a line where if you go below it, it's hard because there's a lot of 10K drivers. If you try to get two of them in here, you're going to be playing people that you really don't want to play here, and it's not going to be successful in cash. So I listed the prime plays as guys that I think that you can make the core of your value lineup, and then you can rotate like maybe two of the higher price guys in with the mid-range guys. So
Yep.
Logano, I really like him here. I think he can get out. I think he can lead a lot of laps. His form has been decent recently. With this car, there's a little bit more parity, so I don't think it's going to be a single dom. I think you're going to maybe see probably two or three dominators
Yeah.
um, for this race, and there's a lot of good candidates for it. So Logano is definitely one of them. 9.8, I like the price. He's under 10K. It makes a lot of stuff work. So I think he's definitely in playing cash. But the hard thing is you're going to have to maybe build multiple lineups and spread your cash out, or you're just going to have to like pick one person. Like this is the high price guy that I'm going to live and die by in cash, and
Mhm.
then see who else fits in the rest of your lineup.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely that multiple lineup type of day. Single entry going to be quite difficult, but I love what you did with the prime play. That is a good call from you. Logano definitely in the player pool today. I don't think he's going to single dominate the race, but he's got the mojo at Darlington right now, so we're going to have to throw him in the player pool. Christopher Bell raced really well yesterday in the 18 for the Xfinity race. He's going to have plenty of experience on the track and what it's feeling like this weekend. So I think he's in play at 8,700s, even though he is playing, starting second. I think there is some potential upside with some lead laps. I think he might be able to, pull that out of the hat today. I don't know your thoughts.
A little riskier here among
Sure.
probably the top five, I would say. But I think that like we saw him, he started dead last and he cut his way through the field. Now, granted, they were Xfinity drivers, but there are some good Xfinity drivers, and he was still battling with Larson. A Cup guy in there, Chastain was in that race, and some of these guys are, are future Cup drivers too. So he did really well there. And again, I think, they're going to give him a lot of the resources here to try to it's a four-person team. Like I said, three-person earlier when we were talking about it. But, three of these drivers are in, and I think, they take some of the resources from Truex team and spread them out through these. And I think, he could have a solid day. So I think he's definitely in consideration for cash.
Yeah, I think so too. William Byron, 8,900.
Last week we were talking about like has he even won a race, and local or friend of the show and like one of our viewers here, Izzy B24, pointed out to me that yes, he did won two races and it was early on, and he was actually pretty dominant early in the season, which I guess his current form made us forget about. But this was almost his last really good race, and I think this is a really good chance to start the playoffs on the right foot. He had the second fastest practice speed here. He's good with tire fall off, and that's what we're looking for. So I think and I like the price at 89. So I'm definitely in on Byron today.
Yeah, 8,900 really sells me on the price tag, especially since this is a race William Byron and Joey Logano kind of got into their little scruffle. So if you don't remember that, it's a fun one to look up.
Wasn't this the one where like Harvick almost got like punched by somebody at the end, and he
I'm
came,
not
he,
sure.
he, he was like,
I'm not.
You're not gonna hit a guy with glasses, are you?"
I'm not sure, but I do remember in the interview Logano having words for Byron. So we'll see if that has any fireworks to begin the race.
It's been
I
a long
doubt it.
time. It's been a
Yeah,
long time. So
yeah. All right. Tyler Reddick, 10-5. Pretty good in practice.
I know, super expensive here, but he is the quintessential person you want here. He is a wall rider. Although, ever since he came up to the cup, he's been a little too close to the wall, and I think he leads the league in Darlington stripes just
Yeah,
because of his racing style. Now, these new cars are more like with the composite body. I don't
yeah,
think it's going to matter as much. So
I
I
agree.
think it sets him up well, but 10-5 is a hard price tag to pay off here unless he gets up there and dominates. So I think he's still in consideration of cash. I think he's going to have high ownership here, but if he's the one that you want to put in that slot for the top price one, then that's good. And if you do, then you are able to raise up some of the other guys. I think the 8K range is like where you really end up here. Like the chalk play, it's going to be Daniel Suarez there, and
Yeah,
you might be able to get him in the lineup additionally. But like you have Alex Bowman in that range. You have Kevin Harvick in that range, who's a good tire wear guy, or
yep.
you can move up to like Bell or Byron. So Tyler Reddick opens up the 8K range guys. So like you're looking at like probably two value guys that I have in the prime, and then potentially in your build Suarez, or drop down to like an Eric Jones, you get $800 more. So there with your other guys, you can barely scrape the 10K range, but Reddick opens it up to get like higher up in your mid range. So that's, I think, where you're going to play him potentially.
You got it. Kyle Busch, starting fifth, 10-2, still hasn't signed a contract anywhere, still a free agent for next year, still lingering within the team. But I have some Kyle Busch statistics here to go over. See what you think about this. Since 2017, he has been incident free at Darlington, an average finish of fourth, and he's 6 for 6 between second and seventh. Your thoughts?
Great. He'll still be the first guy on my GPP. He's not touching my cash line.
So the cash Kyle Busch consideration still never going to happen.
Well, no,
I
I
think
did. I
I
did play
think
him a couple times this season when I
yeah,
thought
there's
it made
been
sense. But
yeah,
just here's the thing: Kyle Busch was 12th in 10 lap average, which is okay, but it's not great here. And his overall like single lap speed, which I know this is more of a long run thing, he was like 23rd overall in practice. That concerns me.
yeah. Yeah, I think the team's distracted. He's distracted. I think it's lingering on, but I think he could finish in between 2 and 7, so I'm going to be playing him in GPPs. He does well at tire wear tracks. He's Kyle Busch. He's one of the best drivers that they have in the sport when he's actually focused. Let's see if he's focused, and I'm going to take a shot, and hopefully nobody plays him because of the practice speeds.
And one thing that I said in a manifesto with Truex last year is that Joe Gibbs Racing puts a lot of stock in playoff tracks, and they
Yep.
test there more than anybody, and they
Yep.
do and they really usually nail the setups here, and they really come out strong opening the playoffs. So that would bode well for Kyle Busch. I can't pull the trigger in cash, but I definitely will have some shares of him in GPP.
Absolutely. I think Kyle Busch could have himself a day. All right, Austin Cindric, fastest in practice at 7.6 at starting sixth. What do we do with this?
He's still. It just concerns me with his like his 10 lap average was third, but just he really hasn't been great here. And I mean, in Xfinity, he was okay, but I don't think he like really was like super dominant. So I don't know. I like the price, but if I'm in the 7K range, I'd rather drop down like a little bit more to like Eric Jones, who's had like some fast speed, was really good here in a Gibbs car. I'm not playing Ty Gibbs, but it just he's kind of priced in no man's land. And if it opens up things for you, like I was talking about the 8K guys, if you drop down to like Cindric, maybe you don't want to drop as far down to Jones off of like Suarez or some of the 8K range guys, if it gets you up to like a Larson or Hamlin and it works for you, then I'm fine with it. But I think he's more of a GPP.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with GPP as well because of the range of outcomes Cindric has had for the past month and a half. There's not many top fives in there, and you're kind of hoping for that top five. Maybe he's been coasting as a team since to the playoffs. Like, you won the Daytona 500. It didn't really have to win a race
Well,
at the
almost it almost came to that though, because you had so many multiple winners here
yeah,
that, look at the really like Truex like who didn't make it in. I mean, it was
right.
crazy this season.
It was. But now it looks like Team Penske has some speed. You have 3 cars inside the top 10. I think you kind of have to take a look at that and think, all right, well, I can't ignore a whole entire, manufacturer that has speed. So I'm gonna have to play some Cindric, even though he's in the top 10, and this usually spells fade. I think there's some GPP upside here,
Or
especially with the
maybe you
price tag.
stack them.
That's
Maybe in a GPP you stack the
Yep,
Penske cars. If they're onto something, then
yeah.
because we saw
That's
that
what I'll
with
do.
the RCR cars yesterday too. Obviously, they had something figured out. Now, towards the end of the race, it didn't bode well. Hill started falling back, and Creed, like that was an awesome finish there, and he almost had it, but still, like they finished respectably. And it was hard for me to even think about playing them in their starting position, but they were able
Exactly.
to hold serve. So
That's kind of what I feel with the Penske cars today. So we'll see how this goes. All right, Kyle Larson. I think this is going to be a super chalk play at 11.4. There's a lot of cool Kyle Larson stats here at Darlington. The guy's raced really well here. Without incident, he's second, and third. And he read 30 laps in the spring. Uh yeah, I think he's a prime, not a prime play, but I think he's a cash play, maybe in the industry, maybe not myself, but I'm gonna have to play Kyle Larson today. I know that.
yeah, and if he's the one that you want to make the high price guy in the build, that's fine. But like I said, if you try to play Larson and then you're trying to play another 10K guy, you're ending up in the 5K range. And there's a couple guys that will give you there, but it's pretty scary. And if you get below that, like you're just this is not last week's race where some dude won $1 million stacking all the you know dumpster diving and putting like all the lower price cars in. Like Rick Ware Racing is not going to have the speed. They're just going to fall lap after lap after lap down here, especially if there's long runs. So the
Right.
field's going to catch them and just continuously put them down. So,
Exactly. You're gonna have to, yeah, you're gonna
but
have to
yes, I
play
like Larson.
Larson and then really figure it
Right.
out. It's
And
tough.
again, the only thing that concerns me with Larson is he blew a tire out the Xfinity race. He had
Yep,
a
and he
tire
blew an
issue.
engine in the spring.
Yeah. So like he is rough on these tires, and this tire doesn't have as much give. So that's the only thing that super concerns me. I will have Larson. He's not my primary cash build, but I did build a
No,
couple extra auxiliary ones, and he was definitely the guy there. Um, so
I think if you play Kyle Larson and GPPs, just consider Kyle Busch instead for less money.
yeah.
I think it's the same exact play. All right, moving on. Bubba Walls, 73. Yes or no? I'm
No,
leaning no.
he's another tire guy, and I don't know like what the chemistry is going to be here too, because he's got the
New team.
45 car, which I mean it's probably his car just painted differently, but are he is he getting pieces from that pit crew, or like does he keep his own pit crew?
What's
Because
going
his
on with
pit
the
crew
crew
has
chief?
had
Yeah.
issues and tires falling off, so I don't know. So it's just X.
Yeah, I think I'm
GPP
out.
or
I'd rather
fade.
play Cindric
Yeah.
here. He didn't really have the speed anyway.
Yeah.
So I think he goes backwards, and that's not going to work. Ryan Blaney,
Horrible on this track. Horrible on this track.
yeah, 9,200 is a lot to pay for a guy that doesn't typically race here well.
Stack with the Penskes or GPP or fade.
Yeah, he's destined for like a 15th place finish, and I think their goal might be keep all four tires on the track today,
Yeah.
not get too far behind in the
Survive in
playoffs,
advance.
and then yeah, exactly, and then wait for something like Bristol to
Yeah.
take to strike. So Michael McDowell, 7,500 fade is the absolute right call. So
Yeah, I mean, he's having an amazing season. It's a shame he couldn't make the playoffs and get that one win. I mean, if it was last year and he had that Daytona win, then he definitely would have been in this year.
yeah.
So I just I think there's good things coming to the future, and maybe potentially he gets out of front row's not a bad like small team when it comes to like small teams, but maybe he gets a chance to get up into like someplace else. We'll see.
So he started the race in the spring 16th, finished 7th. I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
They're starting 10th here. It's the playoffs. It's a little
Yeah.
different. There's going to be a lot better cars on the track than the 34 today. And I don't think he's going to finish 7th here in the
And they
playoffs.
understand like the playoff drivers, and he's a mature racer, so he's going to give he
hand out
respects
the
the game.
window.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He respects the game.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he's going to be fine with his top 15 or top 20 and move on. Denny Hamlin, 11-1.
He's been amazing here for like the last 15, 20 years. I don't know how long he's been driving. I don't think he's been racing that long, maybe 15 years or so, but he's just been like really, really good at this track. So I
Yeah.
think, if you're coming down to your building block here, Larson definitely makes sense. It's just he's a little easier to get up with the $300 off. And has a little bit more place differential, but it would not surprise me if he won this race. It would not surprise me if he led 200 laps in this race. Again, with pricing with the rest of your lineup, can you get him in safely, or are you okay with going with like Logano and then like Chastain, or would you rather have like Hamlin and Harvick, or Hamlin, or actually I think Byron and Logano and Chastain and Hamlin would be an appropriate pairing with the pricing. They're almost the same distance apart. So, it's like which pairing do you like better?
Right. I'm gonna play Denny.
Because you have like the one and sorry to cut you off, the 1 and 3
go
guy
ahead.
and like the 11-12 guy, like it's almost like the same exact.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you feel that confident on Denny Hamlin, he definitely should be in your player pool. 11-1 is a lot. 11-4 for Larson is a lot. Really stretches you thin. I don't know. I don't feel as confident in them dominating the race, and I don't know if that's going to pay off the price tag. So I'm just weary on the entire 11K situation. 10K Ross Chastain. Man, it's actually
on fire in the middle of the season. Last 8 races, he's been come back to earth, but
definitely about to just say that. Yep.
He did well yesterday. I mean, I think it was good that he ran that race just to kind of like get And he's aggressive, and that's what you need at this track.
Yeah.
So as long as he's not like running into the wall too much and getting too many stripes, like Tyler Reddick, it might be a contest between Chastain, Stenhouse, and Reddick who gets the most stripes today. But I wonder if you can bet that DK Sportsbook.
They usually have everything posted. Yeah, I'll have some Ross, but I agree with you. The watermelon farmer isn't smashing watermelons recently. He's slowed down. I think all the heat he's taken for his driving style, I think it's really bothered him the second half of the year, and I think he's not being as aggressive as he should. And now there's definitely some incidents on the track recently where you're like, okay, Ross Chastain, here we go, wrecking someone else, but there's been a lot of like bad luck his way and things he's getting blamed for that are usually just racing incidents. But that's because of the things that he did earlier on in the rate in the year, and that's just the way it's going to go when people think you're wrecking people. So, as far as the DFS standpoint, 10K, not a bad price tag. 12th, he has probably a top 7 upside. So there's that. He could be in the optimal lineup that way, but I think he's going to have to lead some laps in order to get into the optimal lineup with that price tag. So we'll see what happens. I think there's a lot of good cars in front of him, and that might not be enough. 7,800 Austin Dillon, probably a fade. I don't know. You snuck into the playoffs with a win at Daytona. Do you think he can carry over any momentum?
His form recently has been good, even if you take out like last week's race. So in Childress, look at the speed that they had here, in Xfinity. So I think they know some things. Again, I think he's a GPP more than a fade.
Okay.
Don't like
You think
it.
you're selling me here?
Don't like the practice data though.
Right.
That was a little bit scary. Let me look at the 10 lap.
I think you're selling me on him though. I
He was
mean,
he was 20th.
yeah, finished 9th in the spring.
Yeah. So again, he's one like if you want a little bit more place differential in Cindric and you have $200 more, then I think he's good.
Yeah, qualified well in the spring as well. Okay, I think he's worth the GPP flyer. Justin Haley, 6,200.
Was good here in Xfinity. He's okay with tire wear, but starting too far forward, I think, here, especially if you look at what his practice speeds were.
I totally agree. Eric Jones, 7,200. Probably on the yes.
Only concern is well, it doesn't matter because there's no other petty cars in the playoffs. Like I said, he was really good here in the Gibbs cars, ran well, third in practice speed. Let me look at his long run speed. Eric Jones. Oh, that's a little bit concerning. He's 27th, so there might be some fall off there. So that's the only concern.
And he did wreck out in the spring. Maybe not as strong as I initially thought. And he's starting a little too far forward at 7,200. 7,200 is not a bad price tag, though.
Oh.
I can understand it. I think he'll be in the player pool, but I think I'm going to be a little cautious with my exposure, and especially if he's anywhere near the chalk. Alex Bowman, 8,200. Really good price tag here for a driver that does really well on tire fall off tracks.
Yeah, I don't know if he's super good at this track specifically, but I think that he'll end up in the top 15. So he's a very vanilla play. If he makes up to the top 10 would shock us, but I don't think he's going to go out and dominate this race, but I think he's going to do enough to survive in advance.
We're at Alex Bowman, 8,200. Your thoughts?
Okay, so if this looks a little bit choppy, the video just completely quit on TK and I, so we're just merging it back together. So this is part 2 of the video as we're starting right now. So yeah, I just explained to about Alex Bowman. I think he's just going to survive in advanced mode. So I think we're on a Truex now.
Okay, yeah. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Martin Truex Jr. I was saying, I think he could still potentially drive angry today. that he's not in the playoffs. He is coming back for, a couple more seasons to drive the 19. So I think 9,500, there's some place differential here. He might be the one driver in the top 10 at the end of the race that's not in the playoffs. I think that's a strong possibility. So I think he's still in play for GVP purposes. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think you can play McCash. Like again, different cars had really good pedigree here. Has done really well here, leading laps and actually dominating this race at points in his career. Again, the only things that we kind of need to worry about is, our resources from his team, or is he going to yield to his teammates because he got three of them, to try to help them and be a good teammate versus trying to go out there and win this race. So those are a couple of negative factors. Positive factors, this car is already probably set up and ready to go for this race before Daytona. They've done a ton of testing here, assuming that all the four drivers, well, probably if they thought three of the four were in, they probably thought Bell would be the one that wouldn't be, not Truex. But so we'll see what happens there. But I think he's safe to play in cash. Again, 95 is not bad. It's a little bit of a discount off of some of the 10K guys. So it might make your lineup build a little bit different.
Sure. Next up, we have Kevin Harvick, 8,500. I much prefer Harvick in this spot here in this driver starting position range. Really good on the tire wear tracks. They had a lot of momentum. I don't think they really took Daytona last week seriously. And now we have the playoffs. Kevin Harvick has 2 wins in recent form. Your thoughts?
I think that if you're not sold on Logano starting first and want somebody that's good with tire wear track, this $400 can go a long way to try to get you up from, we're talking about the difference between Chastain and Tyler Reddick if you have like an extra 100 in your lineup, or maybe it gets you to Chase Elliott with like the more place differential. So I really like him as a building block in cash. Or if you have like 500 left and you don't trust the Daniel Suarez chalk, because all of us got thrown up on yesterday with the Anthony Alfredo chalk, literally
threw up in his car, wrecked in caution. He ran right in the back of Hunter Nemechek, throwing up in the car apparently. So hopefully he's okay, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
ruined a lot of lineups.
Yes. Yeah. So like if you're not sold on like Suarez here and you have the $500 more, or you want to pivot off that chalk and you can make it work in your lineup, I think this is a very, very solid cash play.
Yeah, I'm in on Kevin Harvick for sure. Finished 4th in the spring race. I think that's kind of telling. I think he's got it here at Darlington. So I'm in on Kevin Harvick. Chase Briscoe, 7,900, same Stewart Haas team. Gonna be low owned. Any love here for Briscoe?
I not love like. I think if you end up on him again, he's kind of in the no man's land here in the 7K range. There's like he and Austin Dillon, and there's really not like Michael Modal. We said is absolutely no. And then Cindric and Bubba Wallace, we said no. So I mean, there's really not guys in this range. But if you have to drop off of one of these AK ones down, like I think I'd rather go down to Jones.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's kind of no man's land. If he's the last guy in, you have 7,900 exactly left, then and you like him better than Austin Dillon with the place differential, then yes.
I was just about to say, I think you sold me on Dillon, and it would be either one of those two in the player pool for who I was going to play. Maybe he's low owned, maybe like 10% Briscoe just for the 70, the 50 cent 150 max. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I actually like this play right here. He finished in the top 10 in the spring race, has a lot of speed in practice. I think they just have something figured out here at Darlington. Loves the high line. I think Ricky is a decent track fit, and I think he could potentially be a top 15 driver today.
Yeah, there's 2 other guys in the 6K range that I like much better than him, but sure. I think definitely if you can't get up to Busher, who's one of my prime plays, then I think, if you need that $400, that he could be in play. I
Yeah.
think he's more of a GPP than a cash play, but
He's like a last man in and feel
yeah,
okay about it. That's kind of where I'm at. Like if I landed on him, I'm deciding between him and Almirola. Might as well box them all in here. Almirola, Gibbs, starting right behind Stenhouse. I think all three of them are the kind of similar plays. I'd rather play. I guess I would go Almirola, Stenhouse, Gibbs in that order, and then it's a real depending on ownership. Here with Stenhouse and Almirola for single entries or anything like that. Your thoughts on Gibbs and Almirola in this pocket?
well, Gibbs is GPP to fade here. He was horrible on tire wear tracks in
Okay.
Xfinity.
Yeah.
And he's switching cars here. Again, they're probably just painting the 45 with the 23 and everything, but I don't know what the shakeup's going to be with the pit crew and
Sure.
stuff like that. So I'm out on Gibbs here, not interested at all.
So
Did okay yesterday, but um didn't he ran AJ Allmendinger into the wall. If he tries
yeah,
to do that in Cup, then they're going to put him into the wall. AJ at least was mature enough not to retaliate.
yeah.
Um,
Gibbs is an accident waiting to happen just
right.
today. Yeah.
Yeah, he just needs more experience.
Mhm.
He's good at what he's good at, but he still needs to learn some other places, and that curve's kind of steep at times. And this is one of the places where it's very steep.
Sure.
Almond Rolla I actually really love, and that's why he's a prime play here. He's not super great on tire wear tracks or at Darlington, but just his recent form and his speed and everything all put together at 6,400, he's like one of the best floor guys that I think we have out there today. 13th in practice. His long run speed was decent also, and he's been super, super solid on long runs, and that's what we're looking for here. Like
Mhm.
fall off, long runs. So everything makes me really like him as a building block and one of the cheaper guys to put to try to rotate the higher price guys in.
Yeah, finished 11th in the spring. Almirola in a little bit of form too. With some recent form. Just got that contract signed. I think he's feeling good. So yeah, I think I agree. That's why I had him ahead of Stenhouse in this range. I think Almirola going to be a big part of the player pool today. Chase Elliott, 10-7, going to be the chalk cash build, starting with him.
I don't know though, because
Really?
he didn't have, I mean, he was 14th in like overall speed, but long run speed didn't look good. And
Mhm.
it hasn't been one of his best tracks. So
Sure.
I don't know. It's a lot to
It,
pay. Like I get the place differential
it,
there, but I think if you're paying, I think you'd run look like to see if you could get up to like Larson or somebody else. Like he's kind of in no man land in the highlands here
mhm.
because you want to go down for like Chastain or Reddick, or you want to get up for like Larson or Hamlin. He's kind of in the middle there. So I
Right.
don't know. I think I'll play some of him, but I just he's got to finish probably in the top five to pay off this price tag.
Sure. I did finish fifth in the spring.
We talked about
Um,
how strong the Penske cars are, the
yeah.
Gibbs cars. We have Larson in the equation. We have Chastain. I think there's at least 8 drivers that are better than him here today.
Okay. That would be it would make you completely different to the field in cash if you didn't play Chase Elliott today. I know that. So if you're in the multiplier, the multipliers, all you have to do is just start a lineup without Chase Elliott, and I think you're going to be, you know, looking at top three without, just being different construction wise.
And if you play the three chalkiest guys, if you take Larson, you take Elliott, and you take Suarez, you have to play somebody in the like 5K range, and it's not pretty.
All right, and I think we all know who that's going to be when we get to it.
And we'll
Dan
see.
Daniel Hemrick, 5,900.
He's not the guy.
Nope.
I mean, he's good
Right.
at tire wear, but this colleague team just hasn't been really good. I mean, if he might finish in the top 25, so I mean that's not bad. But I could see some regression here. I really, besides Suarez, only see like maybe 2 cars that could potentially get ahead of him that are behind him. So I think he could potentially be safe here, but I don't know. It's just
That's going to be a fade for me. I mean the 5,900, yeah, but I don't see him going anywhere ahead of 24th. Brad Keselowski 25th, 6,700. I don't know what his motivation is for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why I put him as a GPP. Like
Yeah, I don't know what to do with
he's got
Kez. I'm
experience here.
not
He's
gonna lie.
okay. But yeah, if I don't
Yeah,
if I
I
ended
got
up
him.
on him, like I kind of like would like Stenhouse too with a $200 savings, even though I'm sacrificing some place differential. I think like
Yeah, no.
upside. I mean, it's only 5 points, so yeah,
Yeah. Landing Castle,
no,
6,100. No.
no, starting too far forward. If he was starting like 34th, maybe I'd consider him, but still,
Yeah,
like I just don't think he's going to have the speed to keep up.
no chance. Chris Busher, take it away.
I he I don't know why people are overlooking him. I've seen absolutely nothing on him, and like some
That's
of the projections
hilarious.
that I've seen on him are quite low. And he's starting in an awesome spot. Like, usually he'd be like starting like 15th or 17th up here.
Hmm.
Is he was speed was a little bit slow in qualifying, but it's a Roush Fenway car. It's not a Rick Ware car. It's not a Spire car. It's not a Live Fast car. It's not a BJ McLeod car. It's a decent car, and he's good with tire fall off and
Yeah,
tire wear tracks. And I think didn't he do really well? Was it like Homestead? I think that's one, and like in Fontana, like he's
I
got a lot
can't
of positive
recall.
things.
I know he's finished 16th here in the spring,
Yeah, but
and
still,
that's
that's 10
exactly
place
what we want. Yeah.
It's 10 place differential points at 69, which is a little bit, I wish it was more like 63, 65, but I really like it. I really feel
Yeah.
solid with he and Almirola, just knowing like what they give me compared to all the other question marks in the price range are lower than them. And I can make them my foundation and then build from there.
Yep. Next up, Harrison Burton, 5,700. Unfortunately, TK will have to play a little bit of Harrison Burton. I don't think he'll be the chalk play down here, but I just think there's not much else. And I'm going to have to bite the bullet and play a little bit of Harrison Burton. Finished 14th in the spring. He's gotten a little bit better lately. It seems as if all that rookiness is starting to wear off finally, and he's starting to get going, I should say.
He is Chase Briscoe 2.0. Chase Briscoe last year we crucified. Was brought up too
Yeah.
early. The only reason he's in there is because who was the guy in the 14 the year before him that retired as a commentator?
Clint Boyer.
Yeah, he just retired like out of the blue, and they needed somebody, and they promoted him too fast, and we like hammered and hammered and hammered. The end of the year, he started to figure it out, and he
Yeah.
actually did decent. And I think Harrison Burton is starting to get to that point too, where he's starting to see some of these tracks for the second time, get used to the car, get used to the cup, and I think he's starting to come around. So I do see that 11th in practice, had some good long run speed, was decent here in Xfinity. So yeah, I'm not saying that he's like a lock in play, but if you need to drop down out of the 6K range, I think he's okay.
Yep. Ty Dillon, 5,800. Did race in the Xfinity race. Has not had any form in the 42.
Well, he lost his engine in Xfinity, but he was doing decent before that. And I think, he's got a lot of experience here. That's why he was a good play. The petty cars have been indecent. So I think he can at least get up into the top 20. I think he's a safe play here compared to some of the people around him. So I'm okay with that.
All right. Next up, that is Cole Custer, I believe to be the chalk cash play down here next to Suarez. 5,500. This is the pick that everyone's going to pick to fit all those 10K, 11K drivers that we talked about and try to squeeze in Chase Elliott. This is the guy that glues it all together. So I think he's going to be super high owned. And that is going to lead me to a GPP fade.
Yes. I do see where you're saying there. I think people are going to look at the practice speed and it's a Stuart Haas car, but I think you got to look at him in comparison to Todd Gillian. Todd Gillian has finished, I think, did he
Oh,
finish?
I'm team Todd Gillian. Don't get me
Yeah, I think he
wrong.
finished in the top 10 in the spring race here. He was
He was 15th.
okay, 15. But he was awesome here in the truck race too. And this front row motorsports team is a decent team. I mean, so Stuart Haas, but I I'm more Team Gillian than Custer.
Same. I'll be Team Gillian over Custer. I do think I should have a little bit of Custer just in case, but I think he's going to be the chalk, and I will pivot to Gillian. There was a lot of accidents in that spring race, so that's why you had Ty Dillon finish 12th, Harrison Burton finished 14th, Todd Gilliland finished 15th. You had Cody Ware finishing 19th. So there was a lot of accidents that propelled a lot of guys up. These guys probably were laps behind. So
Yes.
that's fair to say. But is there going to be a lot of accidents today? There might be some rain. We don't know. But you can't really call for wrecks except for the speedway tracks. So, for this routine, for this practice, I think right now we're just firing flyers, and I think we can both agree that the 5K range are best for GPPs or one of these guys for cash, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I wouldn't bank on a lot of wrecks happening and these guys finishing ahead of all the wrecks, right?
No.
It could be part of the wrecks, so it's just
Yeah,
never.
because the all the scrubs that I loved in Xfinity got taken out. Kyle Wright was like
Yeah,
one of the
all
ones
right.
that got in a wreck in the
Chris Wright.
back. And
Yeah,
yeah, there were some solid plays down here. They thought, okay, these guys are decent, but it just didn't work out. And you
right.
did see people starting to fall laps and laps behind too, as they, had some long runs. And if it didn't rain, I think, more and more would have fallen
Oh,
behind if they didn't
absolutely.
have that interruption.
Yep. All right, next up, Cody Ware. I just said explain how I don't think, Rex
Yeah.
is something you can play for. So without that, I don't think he's playable.
Yeah, he's GPP to fade.
Yep. JJ Yaley is an absolute fade, no matter what.
Yeah, hopefully his car doesn't catch on fire again like it did
That was
yesterday.
crazy. I
Yes.
literally was like screaming, "Get out of the car!"
Yeah,
because
he
that thing
blew
was
blew the
on
engine.
fire.
Yeah, that was grab the marshmallows and hot dogs.
Oh my, yeah, that was a burning ball of fire around the racetrack. Corey LaJoy, 5,400. I could see a lot of popularity going into this pick. I think he
Yeah,
might have a
he's like
little
kind
bit
of like a
more
cult
ownership.
favorite of like the best of the worst usually,
He is. That's
but
why he gets a little bit of bump in ownership every time.
but he's better on like speedways and like bigger tracks like Atlanta. Like I don't really see like the close proximity and the bumping and the banging here, like
Yeah.
he being able to keep up with the pack, and I think he falls behind. And then BJ McLeod, no way.
Yeah, no chance. And that leads us to Daniel Suarez, 8K, the absolute lock button in cash.
Well, yes and no.
Cash, at
Yeah.
least.
I
Not in, GBPs, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
You
I have
whatever
him
you
as I
feel
have
like.
him as a prime play, but I'm okay if you fade off him, like I said, and drop down to like Jones or somebody else if you don't want him. I think the more core plays are Almirola and Busher, because 8K does kind of prohibit you from getting up there. You might need to take three guys to get like a Harvick as your 8K guy, and then take like two higher price guys. The argument for Suarez is that he was like 16th in practice speed, and did okay on the long run speed. But the only thing is he failed inspection. He
Three
couldn't
times.
qualify, and that's why he's down here. He has to do a pass through penalty. So he's
Yep.
automatically going to start out with one lap down,
Yep.
which shouldn't be super hard to make up here. There should be like cautions and stuff. But if multiple people are getting lapped and put like a
On a
lap
long
down,
run. Yep.
he's got to stay the first car one lap down, and he's got to move up through the field to get to that point. So
Yep.
so there
Yeah.
there is a little bit of like, there's no problems with the car. It's not like they replace the engine or anything. And we fear that the tech's going to fail. The car should be solid. It's a track house car. It's a fast car. It's a good driver. He's in the playoffs. There's a lot of positives here. The only things that could potentially be negative to make this play blow up in people's face is that he does have to do the pass through penalty, and that it could keep him in the back of the pack, and he's got a lot of work to do. But Christopher Bell started back there in Xfinity and knifed his way up through the field, and it was no issue. Now, it wasn't one lap down, but think about it. If he's moving up through the field, it really means nothing because he's still a lap down. So once he gets the lap back, he's still going to move back to the tail end of the lead lap, correct?
Yeah.
So even if he like moves his place and he's racing like what would perceive to be up in the top 10, he's really not. He's really probably like 29 still.
Right. Well, yeah. So once he gets his lap back, he'll have to take that pit to finally pit, whether he gets a wave around or the end of the stage. And then, yeah, he'll have to start back to like 26th, and then he can finally move forward.
Right.
So, yeah, he's going to be in the back of the pack scoring wise for at least half the race. That's for sure. Whether or not he can get through the field on the lap, or I mean, what he really realistically needs is that early caution. I don't think there's any competition cautions, so this could be
There shouldn't be. Yeah.
this should be a race to get on to be the lucky dog for the end of the stage. So he's going to be staying out probably as far as he can in this first stage as he possibly can to get the lap back. So that's what he'll be racing for early in the race. So with that being said, Mega, is there any final thoughts on Darlington?
No, if it's really looking forward to it, and just keep in mind it's actually two races in one. So
Right.
these cars are going to, and crew chiefs are going to have to figure out two separate setups because it starts in the evening when it's still going to be relatively warm. And it's going to cool off fast, and the track is going to change quickly. So
yeah, don't forget the sun coming off of turn 2 too, or coming into turn 1. That's could spell trouble for people with that sun going down. All right. Anyway, that'll wrap things up. Thank you for joining me this morning, Mega, and good luck to you in your contest. Good luck to everyone out there listening. Thank you for listening. Please like this video, comment below with any questions, comments, concerns that you have. Good luck in your race day experience in your DFS lineups. If you have any questions, like I said, you can contact us on our YouTube channel here, Fantasy Sports Insight, or you're on our website, FSIDFS.com, or on our Twitter handle at FSI_DFS. All right. Good luck. Enjoy the playoffs.
have a safe Labor Day.
Amen to that.